Part 1. The blue envelope was already open. I woke up with paper cuts on my fingers. Tiny red lines. 3 of them. Across the pads of my right hand. That was how I knew I had come back. Not because of the rain tapping against the balcony doors. Not because of the white ceiling above the guest room. Not because the Hartwell mansion smelled like roses, lemon wax, and a kind of money that never asked permission before entering a room. It was the paper cuts. In my first life. I got them opening the blue envelope from the Northbridge Scholars Office. The envelope addressed to Clara Reed. Not Clara Hartwell. Not Mira Hartwell. Clara Reed. The name I had used before the DNA report dragged me into a family that wanted my blood but not my presence. The name on my scholarship application. The name on the essay that won. The name on the admission letter my parents stole before I could frame it. In my first life, I opened that envelope at 7 a.m. with shaking hands and thought my future had finally arrived. By noon, my mother called it a family misunderstanding. By 3, my fake sister walked into the scholarship interview wearing my blue ribbon pin. By 5, my father told me to sign a name correction form so the office would not accuse the Hartwells of fraud. By midnight, my brother said I should be grateful the family was saving me from public humiliation. By winter, I died with everyone believing I had tried to sell my scholarship slot to the girl who had replaced me. Then I opened my eyes again. Same guest room, same rain, same paper cuts, same blue envelope. Only this time, the envelope was already open. I sat up slowly. On my desk, beneath the silver lamp my mother chose because she said the room needed to look less orphaned, lay the Northbridge admission packet. The top flap had been sliced with a letter opener. Very clean. Very Hartwell. Inside was the letter that had once made me cry. Dear Clara Reed, congratulations. You have been selected as a finalist for the Northbridge Founders Scholarship and the Arden University Honors Placement. Your identity verification interview is scheduled for today at 2 p.m. Please bring original identification, the blue candidate ribbon, and your signed acceptance intent. My eyes stopped on the name. Clara Reed. In my first life, that name was treated like dirt on the family carpet. Reed was the last name of the woman who raised me after the hospital switch. Not my biological mother. Not the woman whose pearls waited downstairs. My real mother in every way that mattered before money rewrote the room. Marion Reed worked 2 jobs, cut my hair in the kitchen, packed peanut butter sandwiches in wax paper, and cried when I got into Arden because she said the world had finally made one correct decision. She died 6 months before the DNA report. So when the Hartwells found me, they found a girl with no one left to fight for her. Convenient? My biological parents, Thomas and Adrienne Hartwell, said they were devastated by the switch. They said they had searched for me. They said blood would heal everything. Then they kept Mira in the master suite and gave me the converted guest room over the garage because moving her would be cruel. They kept Mira's portraits in the hallway and asked me not to make staff uncomfortable by pointing out that I was missing from every family photograph. They called Mira their daughter without hesitation. They called me Clara when they wanted me quiet. They called me Miss Reed when they were angry. The world called her the fake daughter. The family called her beloved. I learned quickly that truth without power is treated like bad manners. A soft laugh came from the hallway. Mira. I did not move. In my first life, I had hidden the blue envelope under my pillow after reading it. At 7:20, Mira entered while I was showering and took the candidate ribbon. At 8, my mother told me Mira deserved the interview because she understood how to represent the Hartwell name. At 9, my father called the scholarship office and said there had been a legal name confusion. At 10, my brother delivered the name correction form. At 2, Mira walked into Northbridge as Clara Hartwell. At 3, The panel asked her about the essay I wrote for Marion Reed. Mira smiled, cried, and said she had written it while adjusting to identity trauma. The panel softened. People always softened when Mira cried before I spoke. This time, I folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. Then I checked the drawer. The blue candidate ribbon was gone. Of course. They had already started. I looked at the mirror. Clara Reed looked back. 18 years old. Black hair, dark eyes. Too thin from a year of eating at tables where silence counted as a meal. The real Hartwell daughter? The daughter her parents replaced before they even found her. I touched the paper cuts on my fingers and smiled. Not because I was happy, because pain is useful when it tells you the clock is correct. At 7:12, my door opened without a knock. My mother entered carrying a cream dress. Adrienne Hartwell looked like a woman painted by someone who had never seen sweat. Soft blonde hair, pearl earrings, silk blouse, a face arranged for sympathy. Her eyes went to the opened envelope, then to my hands. "You opened it already," she said. "Someone opened it before me." Her mouth tightened. "Do not start the day with accusations." "In my first life," I said. "It has my name on it." I said. "It is my interview." I said. "Mira cannot go in my place." Every sentence made me sound smaller. This time, I looked at the cream dress. "Is that for me?" "Yes." "For the interview?" She paused. There. The smallest hesitation. The lie looking for shoes. "For the family meeting before the interview," she said. "We need to discuss how to handle this gracefully." Gracefully. When rich people say gracefully, they usually mean silently. I took the dress. "All right." My mother blinked. "All right?" "Yes." She had expected tears. She had rehearsed patience. She had chosen the soft voice she used when reporters asked about reconciliation. Obedience left her empty-handed. "Clara," she said, "Mira has been under pressure too." "I know." "She lost certainty." "I know." "The switch hurt everyone." I looked at the envelope. "Everyone?" Her face sharpened. "Do not make suffering a competition." In my first life, that sentence silenced me. I thought maybe I was cruel for counting losses. Now I knew better. People who steal your place hate inventories. "Of course," I said. She studied me for another second, then left. The moment the door clicked, I crossed the room and took out the old phone hidden behind the loose panel under my window seat. Not the Hartwell phone, the Reed phone. Cracked screen. Old case. No family monitoring app. No shared cloud. No polite little tracker installed by my brother. I opened the email draft I had prepared in my first life but never sent in time. 2. Verification at Northbridge Scholars .org . Subject, identity concern. Finalist Clara Reed, urgent. Attachments already waited in the folder. Original application confirmation. Essay submission receipt. Arden Honors Placement email. Photo ID under Clara Reed. DNA report proving Hartwell birth. Recording from my first breakfast in the Hartwell house. Screenshot of the scholarship portal showing last night's unauthorized login attempt. One attachment was still missing. The payment receipt? In my first life, I found it after the interview, hidden in my brother's trash folder. A payment from Hartwell Family Office to a college consultant named Leon Price. Memo. Contact change and candidate name alignment? Candidate name alignment. Such elegant theft. This time, I knew where to look. I put on slippers, opened my door, and stepped into the hallway. The mansion was quiet. Staff moved downstairs. Mira laughed in the east dressing room. My brother's room was 2 doors away. Julian Hartwell was 21, handsome, careless, and convinced cruelty became humor if he smiled after it. He kept his laptop open because people who grow up protected rarely learn locks. His door was cracked. Perfect. I slipped inside. On his desk sat a silver laptop, an untouched coffee, and the blue candidate ribbon. My ribbon, pinned beside Mira's pearl hair clip like a trophy. I photographed it, then I touched the trackpad. The screen woke. His email was open. Search bar. Price. Enter. There it was. Leon Price Consulting. Invoice paid. Payment receipt. Candidate contact modification. Scholarship finalist profile. Old email. C.Reed. Personale. New email. Mira. Hartwell. Private at. Authorized by Julian Hartwell. Approved by Thomas Hartwell. My hands did not shake. That surprised me. In my first life, discovering that receipt broke something open inside me. This time, it felt like finding a key exactly where I remembered leaving it. I took photographs, forwarded the receipt to my Reed email, deleted nothing, moved nothing. Evidence should not look touched. Before leaving, I picked up the blue ribbon. For 1 second, I considered taking it. Then I put it back exactly where it had been. Let Mira wear it. Let cameras see it. Let the scholarship office ask why the ribbon was on the wrong girl. When I returned to my room, the email draft waited. I attached the receipt. Then I typed one line. I will attend today's verification interview in person. Please do not disclose this report to my family before the candidate name is called. I pressed send. For 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then a reply arrived. Northbridge Scholars Verification Office. Received. Do not sign any transfer, withdrawal, name correction, or family authorization document before meeting our officer. Ask for Rowena Clark on arrival. I read it twice. Then I saved it in 3 places. Local folder. Cloud folder. Email draft. In my first life, I died with everyone calling me confused. This time, I would be very well organized. Part 2. My family rehearsed replacing me. Breakfast began at 8. The Hartwell dining room had 12 chairs and no warmth. My father sat at the head of the table in a charcoal suit, reading a foundation report. My mother sat beside Mira, adjusting the blue ribbon on her blazer. Julian leaned back with his phone in his hand. Mira looked perfect. She always did. Chestnut curls, soft brown eyes, white blazer, my ribbon pinned over her heart. In my first life, seeing it there made me lunge across the table. Julian caught my wrist. Mira cried. My father said I was unstable. The staff saw. By noon, everyone at Northbridge had heard I attacked my sister before the interview. This time, I pulled out my chair and sat down. Good morning. The room shifted. Mira touched the ribbon. Good morning, Clara. She said my name like a gift she might take back. My mother watched me, waiting. My father lowered the report. We need to discuss today. All right. Julian snorted. That is new. I looked at him. What is? You pretending to be reasonable. In my first life, I told him he was a thief. He laughed and said, poor girls always confuse sharing with stealing. Today, I smiled. Maybe I learned. He did not like that. People like Julian enjoy pushing buttons. They panic when the button smiles back. My father folded his hands. Northbridge is a serious institution. The application was submitted before the legal name correction, under circumstances that could embarrass everyone. Legal name correction. That was what they called erasing Reed. The application was submitted under my name, I said. My mother sighed. Clara, Reed is not your name anymore. It was when I wrote the essay. Mira lowered her eyes. I never wanted to take anything from you. There it was. The sentence that always arrived before she took something. My father said, no one is taking anything. We are aligning the application with the family reality. Which reality? His jaw tightened. The one in which Mira is the daughter who has represented this family publicly for 18 years. The room went quiet. Even my mother looked at him. He had said it too plainly. Usually, they wrapped the preference in concern. Mira's eyes filled instantly. Father, he softened. Not for me. Never for me. You know what I mean? I took a sip of water. I do. That unsettled him more than argument. He picked up a folder and slid it across the table. This is a name correction and family authorization form. It allows Mira to attend the verification interview on behalf of the Hartwell family, while Northbridge updates the candidate record. On behalf of the Hartwell family, not on behalf of Clara Reed, not on behalf of the girl who won. The family, the word they used whenever I was about to lose something. I opened the folder. The first page looked harmless. Candidate name alignment request. The second page was worse. I authorized the Northbridge Scholars Office to transfer finalist communications, scholarship intent, and interview representation to Mira Hartwell as family designee during legal identity consolidation. Family designee? Identity consolidation. Their theft had learned to wear perfume. In my first life, I had refused. My father told me refusal would make the office investigate fraud. My mother cried. Mira whispered that she would only explain the family situation. Julian said if I ruined the Hartwell name, I would be out by dinner. I signed before lunch. The signature became a rope. This time, I looked up. Do you have a pen? Mira blinked. My father did not. He pushed his silver pen toward me. The same one. In my first life, that pen felt like surrender. Today, it looked like a camera angle. I picked it up. The room exhaled. My mother reached for Mira's hand under the table. Julian smirked. Finally, I turned the last page over. On the blank back, I wrote, I do not authorize transfer, withdrawal, replacement, family designee access, or interview representation. I am being pressured by Thomas Hartwell, Adrian Hartwell, Julian Hartwell, and Mira Hartwell to sign a document that misrepresents my Northbridge scholarship application. Then I signed, Clara Reed, not Hartwell. Reed. I dated it, 8:19 a.m. I slid the folder back. My father reached for it with satisfaction. Then he saw the back page. His expression changed very slowly. It was almost beautiful. Julian leaned over. What did she do? My mother's face went pale. Mira stopped crying. That was how I knew the tears had been waiting for orders. Clara, my father said, voice low. This is not amusing. I agree. You think this helps you? I think accuracy helps me. He stood. The chair scraped against the marble floor. In my first life, that sound made my stomach fold. Today, it simply marked the recording. My old phone sat inside the open pocket of my cardigan. Camera facing outward. Red dot glowing. Not hidden. Just ignored. You will sign the correct page, my father said. I signed my statement. My mother whispered. Why must you be so hostile? Why must you need me absent to call this family peaceful? Mira flinched as if I had slapped her. Good. Let truth develop texture. Julian grabbed the folder. "This is worthless." He tore the back page halfway before my father snapped, "Stop!" Too late. The camera saw, the audio heard, and the torn page still held my signature. At 8:30, Thomas Hartwell made the first mistake. He decided I would come to Northbridge after all. Not as the candidate. As proof that I had cooperated. He thought he could control the room better if I was inside it. That was reasonable. In my first life, private rooms killed me. This time, every room was about to become public. We left at 9:15. Mira sat beside my mother in the back seat, wearing my ribbon. I sat across from them. Julian sat beside me, close enough to block the door if I tried to leave. My father spoke on the phone with Leon Price. "No, the Reed file needs to remain under family transition. We will handle the candidate in person." Candidate, not daughter. Not Clara. Candidate. I watched the city pass through the tinted window. Northbridge Scholars Office occupied the top floors of an old bank building downtown. In my first life, I had thought the place looked like a temple. Columns, bronze doors, white stone, names engraved in brass. Today, it looked like a machine. Machines can be cruel, but they can also record. That was all I needed. Part 3. The scholarship office called Reed. The Northbridge lobby was full of finalists. Girls in blazers. Boys with polished shoes. Parents holding folders too tightly. Every family had arrived carrying a future. Mine arrived carrying a replacement. Mira stepped out of the elevator first. The blue candidate ribbon gleamed on her chest. Two mothers near the desk glanced at her and smiled. She looked like the kind of girl scholarship brochures loved. Composed. Grateful. Raised. I followed 3 steps behind. No ribbon. Cream dress. Hands clean. Paper cuts hidden in my palm. At the reception desk, a young assistant looked up. "Name?" My father answered before anyone else could. "Hartwell. Finalist interview under Clara Hartwell. There is a family legal name matter." The assistant typed. Her brows drew together. One moment. She looked from her screen to Mira, then to me, then back to the screen. In my first life, that pause made me hopeful. Then my father leaned in, said something about family counsel, and the assistant called Dean Price instead of verification. This time, I stayed quiet. The assistant picked up the phone. "Miss Clark, the Hartwell party is here." My father stiffened. Good. He had expected Leon Price. He got Rowena Clark. The elevator doors opened again. A woman in a navy suit stepped out holding a tablet. Rowena Clark was in her 40s, with short black hair and the expression of someone who had once believed students before learning adults were more creative liars. Her eyes moved across us. Mira with the ribbon. My mother holding Mira's hand. My father standing in front. Julian near my shoulder. Me without anything that marked me candidate. Ms. Clark smiled. Not warmly. Professionally. "Good morning. Northbridge verification requires all finalists to wait under their submitted application name." My father said, "Yes," as I explained. "This is a legal name transition." "Of course." She looked at the tablet. "Please be seated. The office will call candidates individually." Mira's fingers touched the ribbon. "Should I check in?" Ms. Clark looked at her. "You may sit with your family." Mira's smile tightened. Family. Not candidate. We sat in the waiting area. The chairs were arranged in a half circle facing a glass wall. Beyond it, interview rooms lined a corridor. Each door had a brass number and a small red recording light above the frame. Beautiful. My father lowered his voice. "Clara, When they call, you will say we are resolving a legal identity matter and Mira will answer family history questions. Will I? Julian leaned closer. Do not play games. I looked at the red recording lights. I thought we were aligning reality. His eyes narrowed. Mira whispered, please, I cannot lose this today. There it was. The first honest sentence. Not I do not want to hurt you. Not this belongs to you. I cannot lose this. I looked at her ribbon. Then you should not have worn my name. Her face went white. My mother hissed, Clara. Several people turned. My father smiled at them. His public smile. The one that said nothing was wrong except perhaps his difficult daughter. Julian took out his phone and opened a note. He angled the screen toward Mira. Not me. But the glass wall behind him reflected everything. I read the first line backward. If asked about the roof essay, say emotional memory after family separation. The second. Do not mention Reed mother unless panel asks directly. The third. If Clara interrupts, cry. I almost laughed. They had reduced my life to prompts. Mira saw my eyes move to the reflection and quickly locked the screen. Too late. My old phone was already recording in my cardigan pocket. Not because I expected Northbridge to accept hallway audio as evidence by itself. Because patterns matter. One recording is an argument. 5 recordings become weather. My mother leaned toward me. Do not force Mira to defend herself in front of strangers. She is wearing my candidate ribbon in front of strangers. Lower your voice. No one seemed worried about volume when they planned the script. Mira's lips parted. My father looked at Julian. For 1 second, anger flashed between them. Not because Julian had coached her. Because he had done it where I could see. That was the Hartwell family version of morality. Wrong was manageable. Sloppy was offensive. Across the lobby, a wall display rotated through previous Northbridge scholars. A girl in a wheelchair who built a flood alert system. A boy who translated court forms for his neighborhood. A woman who later became a public defender. Under each photograph was a name. The office did not call them by family reputation. It called them by work. For the first time that morning, I let myself want the scholarship. Not as proof to the Hartwells, not as revenge against Mira, as escape, as a room where the name Reed did not need to apologize before entering. The assistant at the desk looked toward us again. Her eyes settled briefly on my ribbonless blazer, then on Mira's ribbon, then on her computer. Something in her expression changed. She typed a note. My father noticed. He stood. Excuse me, Ms. Clark appeared from the hallway before he reached the desk. Please remain seated, Mr. Hartwell. His public smile returned. I only wanted to clarify the candidate name. The candidate name is already clear in our file. Then you understand the legal transition. I understand the file. She said it so cleanly that even Julian went quiet. The file? Not the family. Not the pressure. Not the story my father paid people to prefer. The file. For the first time all day, I felt the plot shift under my feet. A door opened. Another finalist came out smiling. The assistant at the desk lifted a microphone. Northbridge Founders finalist, Daniel Cho. A boy stood, then another name, then another. My family grew more tense with each call. At 10:42, Clark returned to the desk. She held a blue file. Not cream, not white, blue, the same color as the envelope. She looked at the waiting area. Then she said, clearly, Northbridge Founders finalist, Clara Reed. Silence. Not total. The lobby still breathed. The elevator still chimed. But around us, silence opened like a cut. My mother stopped holding Mira's hand. My father stood halfway, then froze. Julian said, "That is not her legal name." Ms. Clark did not look at him. She looked at me. "Clara Reed." I stood. For 1 second, my knees remembered the first life, the humiliation, the hallway, the office where they called me confused. Then the moment passed. I walked forward. Mira rose too. "There has been a misunderstanding," she said. Ms. Clark looked at the ribbon on her blazer. "Please remove the candidate ribbon if you are not the candidate being called." Someone in the lobby gasped. Small. Sharp. Mira's hand flew to the ribbon. My father's voice dropped. "Ms. Clark, I insist we handle this privately." "Identity verification is private," she said. "Misuse of candidate materials in a public waiting area is not." Julian stepped in front of me. "She is not going anywhere alone." Ms. Clark pressed one button on her tablet. 2 security officers appeared from the hallway. Not dramatic. "Just present." Julian moved aside. Protected sons dislike rooms where protection has uniforms not paid by their fathers. I stopped beside Ms. Clark. She offered me the blue file. On the tab, in black letters, was my name, Clara Reed. Not Hartwell. Reed. My throat tightened. Not enough to break, just enough to remind me that names can be homes when houses are not. Ms. Clark opened the interview room door. "This way, Miss Reed." Behind me, my mother made a sound. Not quite a sob. Not quite anger. Recognition, maybe. Too late, as usual. I entered the room. The red recording light above the door turned on. Part 4. Mira could not answer my life. The interview room was simple. Oak table. 3 panelists. 1 camera in the corner. 2 chairs facing the panel. On the wall hung the Northbridge motto, "Merit remembers what influence forgets." In my first life, I had not noticed it. I had been too busy watching Mira cry in my chair. This time, I read it twice. Ms. Clark sat in the middle. To her left was an older man with wire glasses, Dr. Samuel Ives. To her right was a woman with a silver braid, Priya Nandakumar, Director of Arden Honors Placement. Ms. Clark gestured to the chair. "Please sit, Miss Reed." I sat. Before the first question, the door opened again. My father entered with Mira and my mother behind him. Security remained outside. Ms. Clark looked up. "This portion is candidate only." My father smiled. "Clara has been under significant family stress. We believe representation is necessary." Legal representation? Family representation? That is not a Northbridge category. Mira stepped forward, clutching the ribbon she had removed. "Please, I only want to explain. This scholarship affects all of us." "Doctor," Ives looked at the ribbon in her hand. "It affects the applicant?" Mira's eyes filled. Very fast. Very practiced. In my first life, that was enough. Ms. Clark watched her for 1 second, then said, "You may remain for the preliminary identity concern because your name appears in the report. You may not answer for the candidate." My father did not like that. He liked it less because the camera light was still red. Everyone sat. Me at the candidate chair, Mira on the side, my parents behind her. The arrangement mattered. For the first time since I entered the Hartwell house, the room placed me in front. Ms. Clark opened the blue file. "We will begin with application verification. Applicant name?" "Clara Reed." My mother's hand tightened around her purse. Date of original submission? "October 3rd. Submitted from?" The public library on Mason Street, computer 6, the Wi-Fi cut out twice during the essay upload. Dr. Ives looked up. That detail was not in the printed application. It was in the metadata. Ms. Clark continued. Essay title? The Roof That Taught Me to Count Rain. Mira lowered her eyes. She knew the title. Everyone knew the title. It had been in the acceptance letter. Ms. Clark said, "Please summarize the essay." Before I could speak, Mira whispered, "It was about resilience." Ms. Clark turned to her. "Miss Hartwell, you were instructed not to answer." Mira flushed. "I was only trying to help." No, she was testing how much she knew. "Not enough," I said. The essay was about the leak in my foster mother's kitchen ceiling. We could not afford repairs, so she placed bowls on the floor when it rained. I learned to move them by sound. Later, I used the pattern for a school math project about irregular intervals. Priya Nandakumar leaned forward. And the final paragraph? I did not hesitate. I wrote that poverty teaches prediction, but education teaches exit. No one spoke for a moment. My mother looked down. She hated that essay. Not because it was bad, because it made Marion Reed visible. Mira had read the essay. She had copied lines from it, but she could never speak from inside that kitchen. She had never heard rain strike mixing bowls at 2 a.m. She had never seen Marion Reed laugh while moving towels under a ceiling stain. She had never counted leaks as if numbers could hold a roof together. Ms. Clark clicked something on her tablet. Voice sample match confirmed. My father sat straighter. Voice sample. All finalists submit a spoken statement during application. Ms. Clark said, the voice we have on file matches. Miss Reed? Mira's face changed. She had not known that. Neither had I in my first life. Northbridge had asked for the statement as accessibility testing. I recorded mine in the library stairwell because the main room was too noisy. In my first life, when Mira answered the essay question poorly, she saved herself by crying. This time, tears had to compete with audio. Audio was less sentimental. Priya opened a second folder. Miss Reed, your recommendation letter from Mason Street Library mentions a private nickname for your project. Do you remember it? I did. Of course I did. The head librarian, Mrs. Alvarez, had watched me spend 3 winters at the corner computer under the broken heater. She used to bring me paper clips in a chipped mug and tell me systems were only honest when tired people could still use them. She called it the umbrella ledger. I said, Priya nodded. Why? Because the first version was not meant to impress anyone. It was meant to keep working students from getting rained on twice. Once by their jobs. Once by school rules that pretended jobs did not exist. Doctor, Ives wrote something down. Mira stared at the table. Ms. Clark turned to her. Miss Hartwell, before today, had you heard the phrase umbrella ledger? Mira's fingers tightened around the ribbon. I read many of Clara's materials. My mother whispered. Mira. Too late. Read. Not helped with. Not shared. Read? Miss Clark's pen moved. Priya continued. The same recommendation letter says Mrs. Alvarez included an object with the physical archive. What was it? Mira looked up quickly. Hope sparked in her face. She thought this was a trick for both of us. It was not. A library card, I said. Priya did not respond. But not mine, I added. Marion Reed's first card. Mrs. Alvarez gave it to me after the funeral because Marion used it to check out nursing manuals when she was trying to keep me healthy as a baby. The room went quiet. Not the public kind of quiet. The human kind. My mother's eyes moved to me, then away. She did not like Marion Reed becoming specific. Specific people are harder to erase. Ms. Clark clicked through the archive. A scanned image appeared. Old library card. Name, Marion Reed. Bent corner. Faded ink. On the back, in Mrs. Alvarez's handwriting. For Clara, who learned to build doors out of books. Mira's tears fell again, but no one looked at her first. For once, the room looked at what she had tried to stand in front of. Doctor, I've opened another page. Miss Reed, your application lists a community project titled Ledger of Lost Hours. Describe it. It was a volunteer tracking system for students who worked after school. I said, teachers kept calling them unreliable because they missed meetings. I built a shared calendar that counted paid work hours next to academic deadlines, so the scholarship committee could see effort that did not happen on campus. Priya smiled faintly. Why did you build it? Because adults kept confusing exhaustion with laziness. The room went quiet again. My father looked at his watch. He wanted this over. Mira wanted to cry. My mother wanted someone to blame that was not herself. Ms. Clark turned a page. Now we address the identity concern. Last night at 11:42 p.m., the finalist contact email for Clara Reed was changed to an address belonging to Mira Hartwell. The change was requested through a paid consultant account. My father's face hardened. Julian was not in the room, but I imagined his expression very clearly. Ms. Clark placed a printed receipt on the table. Leon Price Consulting, paid by Hartwell Family Office, authorized by Julian Hartwell, approved by Thomas Hartwell. My mother inhaled. Mira whispered, I did not know about that. Ms. Clark looked at her. Then why were you wearing the candidate ribbon? Mira's mouth opened, closed, opened again. No tears arrived fast enough. My father spoke. This was an administrative step to correct a family name issue. The application was not under Hartwell. Ms. Clark said, it was under Reed. That is no longer her legal identity. I looked at him. It is still my name. He turned on me. Do not make this personal. For 1 second, even Ms. Clark looked at him strangely. How could a stolen name be anything else? I folded my hands. It became personal when you gave it to someone else. Part 5. The archive. Opened my admission letter. Ms. Clark pressed a button. The screen on the wall lit up. Northbridge Application Archive. Candidate Clara Reed. Status, finalist. Identity flag, active. My application photo appeared first. Me in a borrowed black sweater outside the Mason Street Library. Hair windblown. No pearls. No Hartwell name. No family behind me. Just me. Then the archive played my spoken statement. My own voice filled the room. My name is Clara Reed. I am applying for the Northbridge Founders Scholarship because I want to study public systems that remember people who are easy to erase. I had forgotten that line. Maybe because in my first life, they erased me so thoroughly that memory itself became painful. My mother covered her mouth. Mira stared at the screen. The girl in the video did not look wealthy. She did not look polished. But she looked certain. I missed her. Ms. Clark paused the video. The applicant is Clara Reed. The essay, spoken statement, recommendation letters, project files, and library submission metadata all match Clara Reed. My father said, again, legal name changes after family reunification can create confusion. This is not confusion, Ms. Clark said. She clicked again. The delivery record appeared. Blue envelope. Tracking number. Delivered to Hartwell residence. Received by Adrienne Hartwell. Time at 6:02 a.m. Signature image? My mother's signature. Not mine. Ms. Clark clicked again. Hallway camera from the Hartwell mansion. I looked at my mother. Her face had gone pale. She had forgotten Northbridge required recipient verification for finalists staying at new addresses. The courier wore a body camera for scholarship delivery because too many acceptance packets had been stolen in previous years. The footage played. My mother accepting the envelope. My mother reading the name. My mother looking toward the staircase. My mother handing the envelope to Julian. Julian opening it with a silver letter opener. Mira entering in her robe. Mira touching the blue ribbon. Mira saying, clearly, if Clara uses Reed, people will think she won before she became one of us. My mother answering, then we correct it before she embarrasses herself. The room went still. There are sentences that sound acceptable in private because everyone present has agreed to be cruel. Played back in clean audio, they show their teeth. Mira whispered, I was upset. Ms. Clark did not respond. She clicked again. Breakfast recording. My old phone video. My father sliding the folder across the table. My hand turning the page over. My writing. My signature. Clara Reed. Julian tearing the statement. The audio caught his voice. This is worthless. Ms. Clark paused on the torn page. Miss Reed submitted the full recording to our office before arrival. The statement clearly rejects transfer. Withdrawal, replacement, family designee access, and interview representation. My father said nothing. For once, silence was not power. It was defense collapsing. Priya Nandakumar looked at Mira. Miss Hartwell, were you aware the applicant had rejected transfer? Mira's eyes filled. I thought she was confused. Confused about what? About family. About what name she should use. I looked at her. You wore my ribbon. Her tears spilled. I thought if I did not go, I would lose everything. There it was again. The honest center of her theft. I would lose everything. Not Clara earned this. Not Clara needs this. My father finally spoke. This office is overstepping. The Hartwell family has the legal authority to manage educational matters for both girls. Ms. Clark opened a new document. Not under Northbridge rules. The title appeared on the screen. Candidate Autonomy and Coercion Policy. Finalist awards cannot be transferred by family authorization, guardian request, or legal name modification without direct candidate consent in a recorded verification interview. She looked at me. Miss Reed, do you consent to transfer your finalist interview, scholarship consideration, or ardent honors placement to Mira Hartwell? My mother closed her eyes. My father stared at me with a warning sharp enough to cut glass. Mira sobbed softly. In my first life, that sound controlled me. Today, it was only sound. No, I said. The word was small. The room made space for it. Ms. Clark typed. Recorded. Doctor, Ives leaned back. Then the interview proceeds under Clara Reed. Mira stood suddenly. But I prepared. Everyone looked at her. She realized too late how that sounded. Prepared. Not misunderstood. Not accidentally. Prepared. Priya asked. Prepared to do what? Mira's face crumpled. To explain the essay? Explain the family. This scholarship is not awarded to a family, Priya said. It is awarded to a student. My mother flinched. That sentence struck her harder than all the evidence. Because it removed her favorite shield. Family. Ms. Clark clicked again. There is one more record. The screen changed to bank transfer data. Hartwell Family Office to Leon Price Consulting. Amount $18,000. Memo. Candidate name alignment. Emergency priority. Timestamp 11:39 p.m. 3 minutes before the portal change. My father said, "Consulting is not illegal." "No," Ms. Clark said, "but using a consultant login to redirect finalist communications away from the applicant violates Northbridge policy and may constitute scholarship fraud." Fraud. The word entered the room like a locked door. My father finally looked less angry than afraid. Not for me. For his name. Always the name. Ms. Clark glanced at the assistant beside the door. "Mr. Price is in the secondary waiting room, correct?" My father's head turned. "Leon is here?" "He arrived 10 minutes after you did." Ms. Clark said, "He requested to speak on behalf of the Hartwell family." Mira looked at my father. "You called him?" No one answered her. Ms. Clark pressed the intercom. "Please bring in Mr. Price." The door opened a minute later. Leon Price walked in wearing a navy suit, a red tie, and the expression of a man who had sold influence for so long he mistook receipts for innocence. He smiled at my father first, then at Ms. Clark, then, after a delay, at me. "This is a very delicate family matter," he began. Ms. Clark gestured to the chair. "Sit." He sat. The smile cooled. "For the record, state your role." "Independent college placement consultant." "Were you hired by Hartwell Family Office to alter finalist contact information for the Northbridge Founders Scholarship application submitted by Clara Reed?" Leon gave a small laugh. "Alter is not the word I would use." "What word would you use?" "Align?" "Of course." Theft loved synonyms. Ms. Clark opened another file on the screen. It showed a message thread. Julian Hartwell. Need read email removed before interview. Use Mira private contact. Father approved. Leon Price. Risky if candidate appears in person. Julian Hartwell. She will sign before lunch. Leon Price. Then I can label it family identity transition. My father stood. "This is privileged communication." Ms. Clark looked at him. "It was submitted through a consultant portal connected to a scholarship application. Northbridge owns the portal audit." Leon Price's face lost all color. My father sat down. Not because he agreed, because he needed time to calculate a new lie. Ms. Clark clicked again. Another message. Leon Price. Make sure Mira has the ribbon. Reception staff look for the ribbon before they look at ID. Mira made a small sound. My mother covered her mouth. I looked at the blue ribbon in Mira's hands. So that was why they needed it. Not sentiment. Not symbolism. Operational theft. Ms. Clark said, "Mr. Price, did you advise the Hartwell family that finalist materials could be used by a non-applicant to enter verification?" Leon swallowed. "I advise that families often need flexibility during legal transitions." "Did you advise them that the candidate's direct consent was required?" Silence. "Mr. Price, I sent the policy..." "To whom?" "Mr. Hartwell's office." Ms. Clark clicked again. Policy email. Attachment opened. Highlighted paragraph. Finalist awards are non-transferable. Family identity disputes do not authorize substitution. Candidate consent must be obtained directly in a recorded meeting. My father had received the rule. Julian had received the rule. Leon Price had received the rule. They had not misunderstood it. They had chosen to outrun it. Ms. Clark added the file to the compliance packet. "Mr. Price, your consultant access is suspended pending review." Leon turned to my father. Thomas, this is getting serious." My father did not look at him. Just like that, another useful person became disposable. I watched Leon understand it. The room had been full of people who believed I was the easiest thing to discard. One by one, they learned the family threw away tools too. Ms. Clark closed the file. "Mira Hartwell is removed from this verification room. Thomas and Adrian Hartwell will remain available for the compliance report. Clara Reed will continue her interview after a 10-minute break." Mira looked at me. "Clara?" "In my first life," I answered. "That was one of my mistakes. Today, I looked at Ms. Clark. May I have water?" "Of course." Mira cried harder. This time, nobody confused it with evidence. Part 6. The scholarship was never theirs to give. After Mira left, the room felt larger. Not warmer. Just less crowded by theft. My parents remained because Northbridge required them to answer compliance questions. They sat to the side like people waiting for a verdict at a trial they had expected to sponsor. Ms. Clark handed me water. "Do you want to continue today, Miss Reed?" The question almost undid me. Do you want, not your family wants, not the office requires, not the name must be aligned. Do you want? In my first life. No adult asked me that until the answer could no longer change anything. I drank slowly. Yes. The interview resumed. "Doctor, Ives asked about my project. Priya asked why I chose Arden. Ms. Clark asked how I would handle public pressure if awarded. I almost smiled. I have practice." Priya's eyes softened, but she did not pity me. Good. Pity was too close to the thing my family used instead of respect. For 40 minutes, I spoke as Clara Reed, not as the daughter found too late, not as the problem in the Hartwell house, not as the girl who should make room because Mira had been loved first. Clara Reed, the girl who counted rain in bowls, the girl Marion Reed raised, the girl who built a volunteer ledger because effort should not disappear just because it was tired. When the interview ended, Ms. Clark asked my parents to return to the table. My father stood before she finished. He hated sitting where he could not steer. Ms. Clark read from the compliance summary. Preliminary findings: unauthorized finalist contact change, misuse of candidate ribbon, attempted transfer without candidate consent, interference with verification interview, and paid consultant involvement. My mother whispered, "This will ruin Mira." Ms. Clark looked at her. "This concerns Clara Reed's award process." My mother looked wounded. Even now, she wanted the room to rotate around Mira's damage. My father said, "What are you proposing?" "I am not proposing. I am notifying." Beautiful distinction. Clara Reed remains the finalist candidate. Her scholarship consideration continues. Mira Hartwell is barred from representing, attending, or communicating with Northbridge on this application. Hartwell Family Office is suspended from donor partnership consideration pending compliance review. My father's face changed. There it was. The donor partnership? The other prize. Northbridge had been considering Hartwell Foundation money for a youth education initiative. In my first life, after I was disgraced. My father used Mira's scholarship story to secure that partnership. The fake daughter won. The generous family healed. The difficult real daughter disappeared. Everyone got a brochure. This time, the brochure caught fire before printing. My father said, "You would punish an entire foundation over a family paperwork issue?" "No," Ms. Clark said. "We are documenting attempted interference in a finalist award." "Do you understand who I am?" The room went cold. Not because he sounded powerful, because he sounded exactly like the kind of person Northbridge policies were written for. Ms. Clark's voice did not change. Yes, Mr. Hartwell. That is why this is being recorded carefully. My mother touched his sleeve. Thomas. He stopped. Too late. Again. The compliance camera had already taken what it needed. Ms. Clark turned to me. Miss Reed, we also received your note regarding housing and family pressure. Northbridge cannot make family decisions for you, but finalists in identity coercion cases may request independent student advocacy through Arden. My parents both looked at me. My mother first. Hurt. Then afraid. My father angry enough to pretend he was calm. You contacted them about housing? He asked. I contacted them about coercion. You are not being coerced. I looked at the torn statement still visible on the screen. He followed my gaze. For once, he did not finish the argument. Miss Clark slid a document toward me. This is not a transfer. It is not a withdrawal. It is an advocacy request. Read before signing. I read every line. My parents had to watch. That was a small pleasure. In my first life, they rushed my signature as if my hand belonged to them. This time, I took my time. Student advocacy. Independent contact address. No family representative without written consent. No candidate name change without recorded approval. No scholarship communication through Hartwell Family Office. I signed. Clara Reed. My mother made a soft sound. I looked at her. What? You will not use Hartwell? In that question, I heard the whole year. Not are you safe. Not did we hurt you. Not what do you want. Only, will you wear the name we made painful? No, I said. My father said, you are biologically a Hartwell. I know. That matters. Not enough to erase the woman who raised me. My mother's face tightened. Marion Reed was not your mother. The silence after that was sharp. Even my father looked at her. She had said the hidden thing out loud. In my first life, that sentence would have destroyed me. Today, it clarified the room. Marion Reed taught me how to read. I said, she packed my lunch. She took 3 buses to attend parent night. She sold her ring to pay for my application fees. She died before she could see this letter. Do not sit in front of the scholarship she helped me win and tell me she was not my mother. My mother looked away. Good. Some shame deserves no comfort. Ms. Clark closed the blue file. The interview is complete. Final award confirmation will be sent directly to Miss Reed by end of day. My father stood. We are leaving. He meant all of us. I stayed seated. I am not finished. Clara. My name in his mouth sounded like a command that had lost its uniform. Ms. Clark said, Miss Reed has a separate advocacy meeting at 4. My father turned to her. You arranged that without parental consent? She is 18. She is my daughter. I stood then. No, I said quietly. I am the daughter you replaced. My mother flinched. My father went still. The camera light remained red. You found me, I said, then spent a year trying to make sure Mira lost nothing. You forgot to ask what I had already lost. No one answered, because there was no answer that did not indict them. I picked up the blue file. I will attend the advocacy meeting. My father said, if you walk out of this room against us, do not expect the Hartwell house to remain open. There it was. The threat from my first life. Only earlier. Cleaner. Recorded. Ms. Clark looked at him. Noted. My father's face hardened. He had forgotten where he was. Power does that. It makes people bring private cruelty into recorded rooms. I walked to the door. My mother whispered, Clara, Please. I stopped. For 1 weak second, my heart turned. Not toward the house. Toward the mother I had invented before meeting the real one. The woman I imagined would hold my face and say she had missed me every day. That woman never existed. Grieving her was not the same as obeying this one. I opened the door. Mira was sitting outside, eyes swollen, ribbon gone from her blazer. She stood when she saw me. Did they give it to you? I looked at her. It was already mine. Part 7. I chose the name they tried to bury. The final award confirmation arrived at 5:17. Directly to my Reed email. Not Hartwell Family Office. Not Mira's private inbox. Not my father's assistant. Mine. Dear Clara Reed, the Northbridge Scholars Office is pleased to confirm your founder's scholarship and Arden University honors placement. Your award is non-transferable. Your candidate name will remain Clara Reed unless you personally request otherwise in a recorded verification meeting. I read the message standing beside a window in the advocacy office. Outside, the city moved in wet gold after rain. Inside, Ms. Clark, the Arden advocate, and a legal assistant waited without interrupting me. No one rushed the moment. That was how I knew it was real. In my first life, every important paper arrived in someone else's hand. This one arrived in mine. I did not cry. Not because I felt nothing. Because some victories are too quiet for tears. They sit down beside you like someone who has walked a long way. At 6, I returned to the Hartwell mansion with an advocate and a Northbridge compliance officer. Not because I was afraid to enter alone. Because I was done letting my family turn private rooms into traps. The house looked the same. Stone steps, rose hedges, tall windows glowing warm enough to fool strangers. Inside, the foyer was silent. Mira sat on the staircase in her white blazer. Blue ribbon gone. Julian stood near the drawing room, face tight. My mother waited by the console table. My father stood beneath the family portrait. The portrait showed Mira at 16 between them. No space for me. That was honest. At least, my father spoke first. You brought outsiders, witnesses. This is your home. I looked around. At the portrait, at the staircase, at the hallway where staff used to lower their voices when I passed. No, I said. It was your evidence locker. Julian scoffed. Always dramatic. The compliance officer looked at him. He stopped talking. Recorded rooms had taught him nothing yet, but recorded foyers were a promising start. I went upstairs. No one followed. My room over the garage was exactly as I left it. Cream dress on the chair. Open envelope on the desk. Silver lamp. White walls. No photographs. A room made for a temporary guest. I packed quickly. My Reed phone. The blue envelope. The award confirmation. The advocacy document. Marion Reed's old recipe notebook. 3 sweaters. 2 pairs of jeans. The library card I used to submit the application. I left the cream dress. I left the Hartwell phone. I left every gift that had felt like a leash with wrapping paper. Before leaving, I opened the drawer where my mother had placed the family name change documents months earlier. Clara Hartwell. New identification pending. New signature practice sheet. New social introduction card. As if a daughter could be formatted. I took the practice sheet and turned it over. On the back, I wrote, Clara Reed, once. Cleanly. Then I placed it on the desk. When I came downstairs, Mira was waiting at the bottom. Her face was bare now. No ribbon. No perfect finalist smile. Just a girl who had stood in my name and discovered the floor could move. Are you leaving? She asked. Yes. Where? Arden Housing, temporarily. She swallowed. You got it? Yes. The scholarship? Yes. Her eyes filled. I really did think I would lose everything. For the first time all day, she sounded less rehearsed. That did not make her innocent. It only made her human. Humans still have to answer for what they choose. Mira, I said, you had parents, a house, a name, a brother, tutors, portraits, introductions, and every benefit of being loved first. She shook her head. It was not real. It was real to me. That stopped her. While you were afraid of becoming fake, I said, I was living as proof that everyone preferred the fake thing. Her tears fell. I am sorry. In my first life, I would have asked what for. I would have wanted every detail named. I would have needed the apology to become a bridge. This time, I did not have the energy to build a bridge for someone who burned the road behind me. Keep it, I said. She blinked. What? Your apology. Keep it until you know what it contains. I walked past her. My mother stood near the front door. Clara. I stopped. She held the torn statement from breakfast. The half Julian had not destroyed. My signature visible at the bottom. Clara Reed. You used this against us, she said. No, I used it to protect myself. From your own family? I looked at her for a long moment. I remembered being 15 and imagining my biological mother would smell like vanilla and hold me like a missing piece. Adrienne Hartwell smelled like roses and fear. Yes, I said. Her face crumpled. I did not know how to love both of you. There it was. The closest thing to truth she had offered. It came late. It came dressed as an excuse. But it was true. So you chose the one who already had everything, I said. She covered her mouth. I did not comfort her. My father stood behind her. This can still be repaired. No. You are angry. I am accurate. His eyes hardened. If you insist on using Reed, you separate yourself from this family. There it was. The last card. The name. He thought Hartwell was a door I needed open. Maybe once. Not now. You separated me first, I said. The compliance officer wrote something down. My father noticed and stopped. Private cruelty hated witnesses. I stepped toward the door. Julian said from behind me, You will regret this when Northbridge gets tired of your sob story. I turned. Northbridge called my real name before you did. He had no reply. Good. Some sentences should end rooms. Outside, the car waited under the portico. The rain had stopped. The air smelled clean in the way cities sometimes do after washing themselves of heat. I placed my suitcase in the trunk myself. No driver. No brother. No father pretending control was help. In the back seat, I opened my email and read the award letter again. Dear Clara Reed. 2 words. A name. A door. A life that had existed before the Hartwells tried to rename it into obedience. At 7, the advocate brought me to temporary Arden housing. The room was small. Desk. Bed. Lamp. Window facing a brick wall. It was the most beautiful room I had ever seen, because no one in it expected me to be grateful for disappearing. I placed the blue envelope on the desk. Beside it, I placed Marion Reed's recipe notebook. Then I opened a blank document for the scholarship acceptance statement. The prompt asked, What name should appear on your award certificate? I stared at the question for a long time. In my first life, I would have typed Hartwell because I thought blood meant belonging. Then I died in a house that kept my blood and rejected my voice. This time, My fingers did not hesitate. Clara Reed? I submitted the form. The confirmation arrived immediately. Award certificate name recorded, Clara Reed. I leaned back in the chair and finally let out the breath I had been holding since the first life. Not a sob. Not a laugh. Something quieter. A door closing behind me. A door opening ahead. My phone buzzed. My mother. Please come home. We can talk. Then my father. Do not make permanent decisions out of temporary pain. Then Mira. I wish I had not worn the ribbon. I read each message once. Then I turned the phone face down. In my first life, I begged them to call me by the right name. In this life, the scholarship office did it first. And once I heard my real name in a room where proof mattered more than preference, I realized something very cold. I did not need the Hartwells to give me back my place. I only needed them to stop standing on it. I woke up as the daughter my parents replaced. They tried to send another girl in my name. But when the door opened, the scholarship office called Clara Reed. So I stood up, and I left the replacement sitting in my shadow. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next story.